Blessings, beautiful beings. Thank you so much for joining me for practice today. And happy March 2022. I have Fritz, who has now decided to show up for practice. You can go lay on your blanket, please, sir. And for practice today, we're going to do things a little bit different. I'm going to switch it up. It is beautiful outside when I'm recording this. It is 80 degrees, which is great. It is March 2nd when I'm recording this. So it's great here in the Midwest for weather-wise. So pardon my translucent white legs. But we're going to start actually standing. So if you need to go grab any props, go ahead and do that. You might want to have some blocks handy, or if you don't have blocks, books, or anything that can bring the floor up to you. If you'd like a blanket for your knees, of any of the postures, or if you have sensitive knees, it's really nice to have some padding underneath, depending on what you're practicing on. I'm on hardwood. This mat isn't super thick, so you go with what you think you need, or you feel like you need. Also, if you have a pillow or something like that that you'd like to end with in Shavasana, that you'd like to lift your legs up or prop your legs up on, you can grab that too. All right, so I know I said we're going to do things a little different, but that's fine. I'm just mixing it up a little bit since we have some nicer weather. So we'll start a little bit more active and then we'll come down to the ground. But don't let that scare you. As always, we'll do modifications if they're needed. All right, so to start today, we're going to start and get really grounded. So I do have a cat. Her name is Chai. I know we haven't seen her on video. This is kind of the dog's world a little bit. But if you have a cat, you know how they need onto your skin or your belly or anything like that. Let's take a moment to ground. So imagine that you are a cat. So lift your feet, really spread your toes, and then as you set your foot back on the mat, really feel your foot on the mat. And you can kind of grip the mat with your toes. So like a cat needing a blanket. I know Chai likes to need me. And she still has her claws, so it hurts. So just do that a couple times. Really lift up your foot and then feel your foot on the mat or whatever surface you're practicing on. And then once you've done that a few times, go ahead and bring that to stillness. And you can loop your shoulders up, back, and down. Really lift up through the chest, looking forward. So from the side, your knees should be stacked over your ankle, over your hip, and over your shoulder, in line with your head. So it should be one straight line. And this is mountain pose. So while you're in this pose, just really, again, feel that earth underneath you. Get really grounded and centered. And we'll just breathe here for a moment before we start. Let anything that may have happened today, just let that melt down into the ground. We're going to let it all go. And then also from the ground, imagine taking up anything that you might need, any positive energy, any confidence, anything that you might need support. You can close your eyes if you'd like, but you don't have to. We'll take one more big inhale. And then exhale, just let it all go. All right, so if you're not already at the top end of your mat, go ahead and make your way there. We're gonna warm up just a little bit. So we're gonna flow a little bit to start, And we'll come back up to stand, do a few things, and then we'll actually do a little flow, and then we'll come down to the mat. But we'll start here. So on your next inhale, go ahead and spread your fingers and reach up towards the ceiling. Fingers. And then on an exhale, go ahead and let it all go. Shift your hips back. You can bend generously at the knees, and we're going to bring our palms down to the mat. So we're coming into a little bit of a forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway, nice flat back. Exhale, let it all go. Now this is a good spot where if you cannot reach the floor, you can use blocks to prop yourself up. You want to also make sure that you're not completely straightening through the legs and locking them out. So you want a little bit of a bend in them still. And maybe for this first round you do use the blocks since we're not really warm yet. And then later you may not need to. Or maybe you can put them on a different setting and come down a little lower. Again, I'm just offering suggestions here. You do what feels right in your body. If you are using blocks, go ahead and just move them to the top of your mat to where you can get to them easily. Bend generously through the knees and then bring your hands flat to the mat. From here, we're going to step one foot straight back and then the other, and we're coming into our first plank pose. So in this plank pose, make sure that you are pressing back through the heels. Your hips shouldn't be coming up or down, so just a nice flat line, so really push away from the mat. Now your hands should be underneath your shoulders, so make any adjustments you need to, and then just make sure your head is in line with your spine. So I know I'm looking at you as I'm talking, but it should really be down. And breathe, most important. Take one more big inhale here. And on your exhale, lift your hips up and shift your weight back, and we'll come into a downward dog. Now in this first down dog, maybe you want to walk it. So you'll bend one knee and then the other, just going back and forth. And then when you've had enough of that, go ahead and bring it to stillness and then just breathe. And it is okay if your heels do not touch the ground. Mine do not. So don't try and get yourself into a certain shape. It's more important how it feels. Okay, we'll take one more big inhale here. Exhale, let it all go. And then when you're ready, we're going to step it back up to the top of the mat. So you can take little baby steps. You could take a couple of big steps, however you want to get to the top of the mat. And then once you're here, inhale, come up halfway flat back. Exhale, let it all go. And just breathe here for a moment. If you need a little bit more bend through your knees, that's fine. You're going to get more of a release in your lower back. But you should also be feeling a really nice stretch in your hamstrings. One more big inhale here. Exhale, let it all go. All right, so we're going to move back into our plank position again, our second plank. So from here, wherever you're at, make sure that your hands are really firmly pressed into the mat, and step one leg back, and then the other, yogi's choice, and then come into your plank. Now, if this is a little bit too ambitious for you today, you can lower onto your knees. Just make sure you're still in that plank position, that you're not coming to all fours, and that you're also not dropping down into like a cobra or an up dog sort of situation. So you really want to be in a plank. And breathe. Okay, one more big inhale here. Exhale, go ahead and lower all the way down to the belly. Now make sure your toes are untucked here. You'll bring your hands underneath your shoulders. And on an inhale, just look forward. Just slowly rise up and look forward. So we're not going to go into full cobra just yet because we're not completely warmed up. We're just now warming up. This is the warm up. So we don't want to push ourselves too far too early. So just look ahead. This is just waking up our upper back. Take one more big inhale here. Exhale, go ahead and lower your forehead down to the mat. Now when you're ready, go ahead and let's shift onto all fours. Tuck the toes under. Take a nice big inhale to prepare, and then on the exhale, go ahead and lift your knees up off the ground. Shift your weight up, back, and down, coming back into that downward dog again. And breathe. I have all my windows open because it's so nice and just airing out the house. So hopefully all of the background noise isn't coming through a whole lot, but we'll see. Maybe the birds. Not everyone bumping their face outside. All right, take one more big inhale here. Exhale, let it go. And then when you're ready, look forward. We're going to make our way back up to the top again. So however you'd like to make it there, you can hop, jump, step, float. Inhale, come up halfway, nice flat back. Exhale, go ahead and let it all go. Make sure that you're still breathing. And again, you should be feeling a nice stretch in your hamstrings and lower back. All right, take one more big inhale here. And then on your exhale, slowly, slowly start to roll all the way up till you're standing. All right. So go ahead and come to the long edge of your mat. So we're gonna switch our, positioning here. And bring your feet out a little bit wider than hips distance apart. So we're going to break up any stagnant energy. So kind of a spring cleaning for our body. And to do that, we're going to use, if you've practiced with me before, it's called knocking on heaven's door. There's other names for it. So you might have practiced this before, but just under a different maybe modality. This is used in Qigong and Tai Chi, and it really is meant to break up any stagnant energy in your meridian points and just kind of flush them out and get rid of them. Because they, like rage and anger, can build up in your hips. So then if you do a lot of hip work, sometimes you can get really grumpy afterwards. So this kind of helps to flush that out and get it moving so it doesn't build up, so then you're not grumpy after you've done a bunch of hip openers. Or anything else. So what we're going to do is we're going to swing our arms one way, and you'll want to come up on the ball joint of your toe here, and then you'll swing the other way, and back and forth we'll go. One of my teachers compared this to like if you put on a sweatshirt or a hoodie or something and you don't put your arms in the sleeves and you kind of sway. I know kids do that sometimes. So kind of like that. So imagine you're doing some action like that. Now you can bring your arms to your hip point. So as you come across, you can swing and tap, swing and tap, swing and tap, swing and tap. I know in different modalities, they also have you come up to hit kind of your, underneath your collarbone here. And you don't want to do it super hard. It's more like if you're at a concert and some huge guy or girl comes and stands in front of you and you're like, move out of the way, sit down. Then we have a Sam. Hello, Sam. So we'll swing back and forth. And again, you have those different options. You can keep your hands away from your body if you'd like. You can tap your hip. You can bring it up to your back and your collarbone. Just whatever feels right to you. Do keep a little bit of a bend in your knee. Just a soft bend. It doesn't have to be big. And you'll just sway back and forth. And if you feel silly, it's okay. Just smile and laugh about it, especially if you're at home by yourself doing this. If I can do this and put it on YouTube and all the socials, you can do it at home. Trust me. So you'll just sway back and forth, and back and forth, breathing. All right, and we're going to start to slow it down here. So if you are tapping on your body, bring your arms out a little bit, start to slow down the motion, and then come back to standing. And just stay in stillness for a minute. Feel that energy flowing through you. All right. Now to bring some power back into our daily things. Make sure your feet, again, are still really wide. Turn your toes out. So kind of like we're going into like a sumo squat. So just kind of out of, it doesn't have to be completely out. You don't want it 90 degree, more like a 45 degree angle. And then from here, just start, put your hands on your hips, roll your shoulders back and down, chest up, look forward. So a strong power pose. We'll take just a couple breaths here. Make sure you're not locking out in your knees. So you don't want to like be straight. So just a little bend, little baby bend. When you're ready, go ahead and extend your arms out. Fingers nice and bright and wide. And keep that lift up in your chest. So this is a star pose. We're taking up space. This is really good if you need to get your confidence up or feel like if something happens to you and you feel like you're powerless and there's nothing you can do about it, then this is a good pose to come into to make yourself bigger, to expand so you're not shrinking and coming in. You're opening up your heart, so you are being vulnerable, but it is a very powerful posture. So while you're here, make sure you're still breathing. Okay, take one more big inhale. Exhale, let it all go, and then we'll lower our hands down, and then we'll bring our feet back under us. Whew. Shake off anything you don't need. Kind of dust off your shoulders. All right, good job. Okay. So next we're going to, so we've gotten rid of the inner, we've warmed up, we've loosened up and helped to flush through some of that energy. We've come back into our power, and now we're going to challenge ourselves and really get ourselves focused. And there's nothing better to help you with your focus than a balancing pose. So we're going to go into a balancing pose. Now again, if you are not comfortable with balancing postures, that's okay. I'm going to offer you different modifications that you can take, and then we'll work our way up to the full posture. So don't turn off the video just yet. Stick with me here. So we're going to go into a tree pose. Vrksana, I think is how it's pronounced, but I'm probably butchering it. So what helps with balance is if you find a focal point, preferably one that's not moving, because it's not going to help you, and you bring your gaze to that focal point. So it could be a point on the floor, it could be a spot on the wall, just whatever you feel comfortable with. Next thing that you want to do is let's shift our weight to our left side. So this is my left side, so if you're mirroring me, it'll look opposite to you, or you can just do your right leg, which would be the same one as on the video with me. So you choose. We're going to do both sides. So actually, let me start on my right side first. That makes more sense. So we'll start on our right side. You can start on your left if you want, but we'll do the right side. So bring your weight to your right foot. Now when I did that, notice that I'm still, so there, yeah. If I bring my weight to the right side, notice I'm still pretty much up and down. What you don't want to do when you shift your weight is you don't want to dump all your weight into that side and like push out your hip like you're getting ready to carry a baby or something. You don't want to do that. So you want to keep that power in there and really lift up. Make sure you are also not locking out that knee. So you still want a little bit of a bend, you want a little bit of a bounce there. All right, from here, your hands can just be at your waist if you'd like. So we'll start here. So you'll turn your left leg out, you'll rotate it out to where your knee is pointing towards the small edge of your mat, and then you'll bring your heel to your ankle. So my left heel is on my right ankle. And that's a little baby pose. If you'd like a little bit more, you can slide that foot up to your calf. And if you'd like to go full tree pose, you can bring that up to your inner thigh. Now make sure wherever your foot placement is that it's not on your knee. You want to keep it off of that joint. So go ahead and get into whatever variation of tree pose is right for you. Make sure you're still breathing. And then from here, you can leave your hands on your hips if you'd like. You can bring your hands to a prayer position at your chest, or maybe you grow the posture and spread your branches. You can have your jazz hands again. For really advanced folks, you can look up and you can close your eyes. That's not my favorite variation of it. I kind of like this one, so I'm going to stick here, but you do whatever's right for you. And breathe. And if you fall out of it, that's okay. Just go back into it, try again, or just stand in a mountain pose and just breathe. Okay, we'll take one more big breath here. Exhale, let it all go. Just slowly lower that foot back to the mat, and then go ahead and shake out your feet, shake out your arms, brush it off. No judgment on yourself with whatever happened during that practice. And right now we are just practicing. This is a practice. We're playing, we're practicing. So don't take it so seriously and feel like you have to nail the pose, the full pose, right away. I still fall out of poses. This also helps with grounding, which is why we kind of grounded to start with. So this further helps to ground you, and it really helps to focus your attention. So you can't be in a balancing pose and thinking about what went on at work today. You're going to fall all over the place. So it really requires your attention and your focus. So keep that in mind also as you practice. All right, so now we have to do the other side. We can't be uneven. So let's go ahead and shift the weight to our left side, or whatever side you did not do previously. And then from here, go ahead and choose your preferred foot placement of your right foot. So whether that be on the ankle, the calf or the thigh. And then you can play with your hands. See where it feels good for you to place them. And breathe. A little bit more wobbly on the side. Usually everyone has one side that's a little bit stronger than the other. So if that's you, just know we're all in the same boat with that. All right, when you're ready, let's go ahead and place that foot on the ground, shake it out. Good job. No matter how you did in that, just feel proud of yourself for a moment. That's not an easy pose. So good job. All right, so now we have done our warm-up. We did some energy movement. There's a strong power pose. We did some balancing, some focus. Let's flow a little bit. Let's get back into that flow, and then we will bring it down to the mat just for a little brief cool down. So just hang with me here. For those of you that are bored without that vinyasa flow, we'll get back into it. But some of these poses we'll get into will be some that we saw during the warm-up. All right, so come back to the top of your mat if you're not there already. And we're going to come into that mountain pose for just a couple breaths, just to reground and center ourselves. One more big inhale here. Exhale, let it all go. All right, on your next inhale, lift your arms up to the ceiling. And then on an exhale, float them down at your side. Shift your hips back, and we're coming back down to our forward fold. So again, use blocks if you would like to. Inhale, come up halfway flat back. Exhale, go ahead and let that go. We'll take just a few breaths here. One more big inhale. And then an exhale to let it go. All right, and then we're gonna step one foot back and then the other, coming back into our plank pose. Take just a couple breaths here. If you're shaking, that's okay. You are strong and you have this. One more big inhale here. And then on the exhale, we'll go ahead and slowly lower down to our belly. Now you can come to all fours and then lower down if you'd like, or you can lower down in one plane like I just did. All right, make sure your toes are untucked. And on an inhale, we're gonna lift our nose and our forehead up off the mat and look forward. Now, maybe you wanna stay here. If you would like to grow this pose, really press through the hands, make sure that they're in line with your rib cage underneath your shoulders, and press up into a cobra. Now, if you feel any crunchiness in your back, lower down. You don't have to go all the way up, but go to where it feels comfortable to you. And breathe. Take one more big inhale here. And then exhale, let it all go. All right, so we're gonna move next into our downward dog. So you have some options. So during the warm-up, I know I went to the knees and then to like on all fours and then into downward dog. So you can do that if that is what feels right to you. Otherwise, I'm gonna show you another variation. So in this other variation, we're gonna come up through a plank. So you'll wanna tuck your toes. And then on your inhale, you'll just push yourself up into your plank. Take an exhale here. Take another inhale to prepare. And then on the exhale, shift your hips up, back, and down into that down dog. So I will meet everyone here for just a few breaths. So however you choose to get to this down dog, feel free to do that for the rest of practice, because we're going to go through that sequence or a similar sequence a few more times. All right, wherever you're at, on your next inhale, make sure that your left foot is firmly planted into the mat. We're going to lift our right leg up. I'm going to brush my plant here with my right leg. And then on the exhale, I'm going to bend through the knee, shift forward, look forward, bringing that knee up towards my chest. And then I'm going to step that foot in between my palms. Now from here, I'm going to pivot on my left foot, so this back foot. Now I'm just pivoting so it's at a 45-degree angle, and so it's pointing at the left corner of my mat here. On the next inhale, I'm going to rise up and reposition myself a little bit. We're moving into a warrior two. Now in your warrior two, and again, make sure you can take any adjustments after you rise up. Sometimes I have to shorten or elongate my stance depending on where I'm at in the mat. But make sure that your front leg, so this is my right leg that's in front. If you have a different one, that's okay. Just make sure it's at a 90-degree angle. And you should still be able to see your big toe. So your knee shouldn't be coming in, you should be pushing it out. This leg that's in the back should be angled a little bit in, kind of at that 45-degree angle, so not out and not forward, but a little bit in, and just should be straight. Also, make sure that your feet are not on, they're not behind one another, so they should be on like parallel train tracks. That'll also help you with your balance. All right, so if you're fine staying here, stay here with your hands. If you'd like a little bit more, stretch your arms out to either side. Imagine you are gripping a pencil in between your shoulder blades. Keep your chest up. There is a tendency to kind of lean one way or the other. Make sure that you're just nice and centered. And breathe. My stance there a little bit. One more big inhale here. And then exhale, I'm going to straighten my front leg. So we're going to move into a triangle pose. Now when you straighten your front leg, make sure you're not locking it out. You see there, I'm locking it out. So you want a little bit of a bend. And then from here, reach that right arm forward. And then from there, you can come into your triangle pose. Now this is another place where a block is really nice. So you can bring that block to the inside of your front foot and then twist. You want to make sure that your chest isn't coming forward and then it's not just, you're not rounding. You want to open up and you want to lift your chest up towards the sky. So if the arm up is a little bit much, you can bring that arm to your hip or you can bring it up to the ceiling. So it's kind of up to you where that is. And then if you're in the full pose and your hand's just going to be there, it's a lot of ab work. All right, we'll breathe here for just a moment. Also make sure your head isn't dropping down. You want it in line with your spine. So many things. Okay, we'll take one more big inhale here. Hang on. And then exhale, drop that left arm down. Bend back through your front leg, so your right leg. And then we'll pivot on that back foot, putting our hands down to the mat. So kind of coming into like a lunge here. And then we'll step our right foot back to meet our left, coming back into our plank pose. And breathe. One more big inhale here. Exhale, we'll lower all the way down to the belly. And then on your next inhale, we'll rise up into your version of cobra. So you could be in that little cobra or a bigger cobra, whatever cobra you're feeling today. And if that triangle pose was a little much for you, don't worry about it. It was for me for a long time too. Just use your blocks, use your props that's around you. One more big inhale here. Exhale, lower down. Sorry, my left foot has a cramp, so I'm just trying to stretch it out a little bit. All right, and I'm gonna meet you guys in downward dog. So If you want to come to all fours and go to down dog, do that. Otherwise, you can come along with me. I'm going to inhale and then exhale, come up into that plank. Inhale, and then on my next inhale, I'm going to shift my hips back, really pushing through my hands, coming into that down dog. And breathe. Whew. And we have to do that same thing on the other side, just so we're even. And then we'll get down to the floor and we will relax. Or at least that's the intention behind it. All right, so on your next inhale, make sure that your right foot is really grounded into the mat. We're gonna lift our left leg up. And then on the exhale, bend through that knee, shift forward, look forward, and then we'll place our left foot up at the top of that mat, pivoting on our right foot, and then rising up and coming into our warrior two on this side. I'm gonna move, so that way I am still facing you. So I'm not talking to the wall behind me. So again, nice 90-degree bend in that front foot. Back foot should be turned in at a 45-degree angle. Hands can be on your hips or extended out, coming into that nice warrior two. And if you'd like, you can look over your front fingers. And breathe. One more inhale. And then exhale, let it go. All right. So we'll straighten that front leg again, and we will shift our hips forward. Now, maybe if you're new to this practice, when you go into your triangle pose, maybe you just stay here and just practice on straightening that leg, and you don't come down this far, and that is okay. Do that. Or if you need to grab a block, grab a block. All right, so we're here. Front leg is relatively straight, and you might need to walk that leg in a little bit. My leg was a little too far out there for this. So I'm going to shift my hips back, reach forward for my little exercise ball over here, and then drop it down. Again, go to the version that's best for you. You don't have to copy me or try and follow me exactly. One more inhale here. And exhale, we're going to lower that left arm, bend back through that front knee, pivot on that back foot. So I'm pivoting on my right foot, coming into kind of that lunge position. And then from here, I'm going to step my left foot back to meet my right, coming into plank. Just going to breathe here for a moment. And then when you're ready, go ahead and lower down to your belly. I'm going to spin back around and do that. Just because I don't want my face to smash down on those weights. All right, inhale, rise up into your cobra. And that was actually our last plank that we'll do. So good job. One more inhale here. Exhale, go ahead and lower back down. And we're going to all meet in down dog. This is our last down dog, so make it your best one. Warm myself up here. All right, and breathe. Inhale, look forward at your hands. We're going to make our way back up to the top of the mat. We're going to do one last forward fold. So inhale, come up halfway again, nice flat back. Exhale, let it all go. And breathe here. You can even kind of rock your body side to side if you like, if that feels good, or you can just be still. All right, wherever you're at, really bend through your knees, bring your torso onto your knees. Make sure your hands are firmly planted into the mat. Come up onto your toes, lift those heels up, and then shift your booty back. So we're kind of coming into like a little ball. From here, we're going to do a really fancy yoga move. We'll bring one hand behind us, and then the other, and then we're going to come to sit. Yay! All right. All right, so we are going to open up our hips a little bit and do a little twisting, and then we'll go and join Fritz in Shavasana. He is having a nice little nap here. You can't see him, but he's still here. Sam left me. Sam came in to see what was going on and said, no, thank you. All right, so we're going to come into a cobbler's pose. Now, do have your blocks handy, because you might need them, maybe not. We'll see. Or blankets, or just any props that you might have. So for cobbler's pose, what you're going to do is you're going to bring the soles of your feet together and your knees out. And then here we are in cobbler's pose. This is it. Now, my knees touch the mat. Yours may not. Do not beat yourself up. Do not feel bad about yourself for this. Don't think you're failing in any way with this. This is, I've been doing yoga for over 20 years now. So I am very flexible. So just know that you might not be here today, and that is okay. We are not on the same timelines or journeys, and that is perfect. You are right where you need to be. So if your knees do not come to the ground, like mine do, you can use props. So if you have blocks, put those blocks underneath your knees to bring that floor up to you. If you don't have blocks, use books. If you don't have big, giant school textbooks laying around, use blankets, use pillows. Use what you have around you. You don't have to have these fancy yoga props. When I first started doing yoga, and for actually several years, up until the last couple of years, I didn't have any props. So I just used what I had around me if I felt like I needed to use any props. So go ahead and get into your cobbler's pose, whatever that looks like for you, and then breathe. If you'd like to give yourself a little foot massage, you can. This is a good time to do it while we're sitting here and breathing and opening up our hips, just kind of calming everything back down again. When you're ready, we're going to go ahead and just come into a comfortable cross-legged position. Now, if this hurts your knees, you can bring a blanket or a towel or a pillow, and you can sit on it, and that will lift your hips up, and that sometimes is a little bit more comfortable on your knees. And again, whatever a comfortable cross-legged seat looks like for you, go ahead and do that. We're going to do just a quick little twist, and then we'll get into our final posture. So wherever you're at, sit up nice and straight and tall. And everyone can do this. This is all levels. So on an inhale, I want you to take your left hand and place it on your right knee. And we're going to take our right hand and we're going to swing it around behind us. Inhale, sit up nice and straight and tall. And then on your exhale, go ahead and twist towards your right side of your mat, or whichever way you are twisting this time. I'm twisting towards my right. Inhale, sit up nice and straight and tall. Exhale, see if maybe you can move into that twist a little more. Now what you don't want to do is you don't want to grab onto that right knee and then crank yourself over. Only go to where it feels comfortable to you. So for some people it's going to be here. For some it might be a little farther. Somebody might be able to spin all the way around. I can't do that, but we're working towards it. Like an owl, spin all the way around. I guess that's just their head, it's not their body, but that would be really freaky. Make sure you're still breathing wherever you're at. Don't let that tension creep up into your shoulders to where you're wearing your shoulders as earrings. So keep that lift in your chest. Then we practiced before in star pose. One more big inhale here. Exhale, let it all go, come back. Breathe here for just a minute, kind of compare both sides. Twisting is really good for your internal organs. It kind of wrings them all out and gets, again, any stagnant energy kind of out. It helps to flush that, helps to flush the crap out. All right, so we need to do our other side. So I'm going to take my right hand this time and place it on my left knee. My left hand is going to swing around behind me. I'm going to move my props. Okay, inhale, sit up nice and straight and tall. Exhale, go ahead and twist towards the left and breathe. Inhale, maybe sit up nice and tall again. Exhale, twist towards the left. And breathe. Take one more big inhale here. Exhale, let it all go. There's some sirens going off in the background, so you might be hearing that. Maybe it's not coming from your body, if you are. That's from here. All right, so let's go ahead and transition into our final posture. So at this point, you can grab any props that help you relax and get comfortable. So if it's cold where you're at, you can grab blankets. Or when you're practicing this, it may not be 80 degrees, it might be in December when you're practicing this. I keep forgetting I'm putting this on YouTube, so it's just there, living there. You can also use, if you have a bolster like I have, or you could use a pillow. Words are hard today. And you can just place that. I know this is kind of a restorative yoga posture, but you can bring that underneath your thighs. Now you don't want that underneath your knees, you want it more underneath your thighs. And that kind of just helps to bring the ground up to you. And then you could use a blanket as like a pillow if you want, or you can wrap up with it. Just whatever makes you feel comfortable. It's really light here right now, obviously. We want to be doing this in the dark, but you can use an eye pillow to block out the light. Your hands can be on your body. They don't have to be. They can be at your sides. Make sure your feet are as wide as your mat. Don't just let your toes fall out. Just let everything go. Just breathe in and then sigh. Letting it all go. Letting the benefits of this practice today just marinate through your body. Thanking yourself for showing up in your body for going through those poses. Some of them were difficult. And then just breathe. I am going to go quiet for a moment and let you relax, but I will transition you out of this final resting posture in just a little bit. So all you need to do right now is just relax, let go, and breathe. So the card I pulled for today's practice was Bee Spirit. And it says sweet results await. Now I did pull it upside down, so that's telling me that there is a protection message. So we'll go with that one for today. It says when Bee Spirit comes as your protector, she asks you to be very honest with yourself. Do you want to taste the sweet honey others have been making that you believe is unattainable for you? Do you wonder how others ended up with so much magical honey when you seem to have none? Have you bought into the illusion of separation and become convinced that you can't have what others in the hive enjoy? Do you separate from the hive to do it all on your own, or to hoard what honey you have, unwilling to trust that there is plenty of support and plenty of sweetness to go around? If you've been overworking and overdoing and have not given yourself any time to enjoy the sweetness of your life, Bee Spirit is telling you to stop and recharge. Perhaps you're afraid that if you don't get something done, it just won't get done. However, even busy bees need to take a break, and when they do, the honey still gets made. So remind yourself that sweetness is everywhere and available to you always when you need it. If you would like to stay in Shavasana longer, then just stay here as long as you have the time to do so. If you need to get going, then slowly start to deepen your breaths. And when you're ready, you can wiggle fingers and toes, just bringing some life back into them. Also, sometimes it's really nice to take your thumb and just bring it across your fingertips, just waking up those little nerve endings. When you're ready, you can place your feet firmly on the floor. Just make sure you're stable, knees bent. And then when you're ready, go ahead and roll over to your favorite side. And then stay there for just a moment, just in a nice, comfortable fetal position, and take just a couple breaths. When you're ready, go ahead and slowly and mindfully push yourself up to a comfortable seat, bringing your head and neck up last. And when you're ready, if you haven't already, you can open up your eyes and just look at everything around you. Thank you so much for taking the time to practice with me today. I really appreciate your time and your energy and you sharing your practice with me, even if it's not in real time, that's okay. This is the free March practice. I will be doing other videos, but those are going to be on my Patreon account. That is a paid program. So with that, you get a weekly yoga practice to do. It's $10 a month. And then you also have access to all of the past yoga practices that I've recorded and posted on there. So you have access to a whole library of practices. And I think there's something like maybe almost 40 now. I have quite a few. It's growing. So there's a lot on there. So if you are interested, you can subscribe to that channel. I would really appreciate it. If you know someone who would enjoy this practice and you think they would benefit from it, please share this practice with them. Also, if you watch this and you like the practice, like my video, or please hit the like button. You can also subscribe to my channel. That way you get notifications when I do put out new videos. You'll be the first to know. I usually do upload it the day before and then I let everyone know, hey, it's uploaded. But if you subscribe, you'll get notified as soon as I do it. So you'll be the first to know. You can also leave a comment if there's anything that you would like to work on, that you'd like to see, and then I can incorporate that into future practices. But yeah, all of that kind of helps with YouTube's algorithms. So that way it gets me out there to others that share similar interests to you and who might benefit from this practice as well. Because there's so many different people out there that sometimes you miss things that you enjoy. I know there's lots of YouTube followers that I would have missed had people not done those things for them. But either way, even if you hated it, thank you for trying it out. And again, I just really appreciate you practicing with me and sharing this time, because time is the most valuable commodity that we cannot get back. So be mindful of how you use it. And if I do not see you for the other March practices, I will see you again in April. Thank you again. Namaste.